one of our it's that time of the year again. Always one of our most popular videos every season, where here at WD18 we will preview and also predict what we think is going to happen in the upcoming Watford season. This time it's 25-26. Unfortunately, Jacob couldn't make it today, but you are joined by myself, Sam Ucko, and Charlie Zazzera. Charlie, how are you? It's been a while since we've done a video like this, hasn't it?
I know Sammy's back on British shores. It's good to see you, and I'm even more looking forward to seeing you next week for Charlton away, where it all kicks off. Yeah, I've been all good, mate. Really busy summer, which is we were speaking a bit before, weren't we, about the predictions and how difficult we found them. I haven't kind of been as able to watch all the games and doing like specific analysis or research. So yeah, really interesting to see what we come up with and what everyone else goes. But how are you, mate? Is it good to be home?
It's good to be home. It is good to be home. Had an unbelievable couple of months out in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia, teaching those on the other side of the world about Paulo's tricky Hornets and how we are going to absolutely walk the league this season. So no, it was unbelievable, but really, really happy to be home now. Looking forward to the season. I mean, you just mentioned just now sort of almost not taking as much attention into pre-season, but I literally haven't watched a minute of Watford since the last game of the season against Sheffield Wednesday. And that's a bit of a first for me, but actually I feel like it's been quite refreshing to do it like that. I've got no idea what to expect on the first day of the season. Pre-season results seem to have been positive. I think performances have been as you'd expect in pre-season from the brief bits I've seen on highlights and from what I've read online. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it next week. The best time of the year to be a football fan. I think everyone's got that bit of optimism. Maybe less so if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan at the moment. Hopefully that situation gets cleared up down at that end of the table. But Watford rounded off their pre-season, well, at least the games in front of fans, with a game against Deportivo, a 1-0 win the other night at Vicarage Road. I didn't manage to catch the game as I was flying back at that point. But Charlie, did you manage to watch it, and what were your main takeaways from it?
Yeah, I managed to watch it. When was it? Last Tuesday, last Wednesday?
Yeah, last Wednesday, I think.
My main takeaway from it really was, and kind of what surprised me was how do I say this? How well drilled we were, how good our defensive shape was. The wingers were kind of doubling up and like helping out the fullbacks, and defensively out of possession, we looked really, really. Deportivo struggled to get through us. I mean, they did on a couple of occasions, and they looked like a decent side who knock it about. But I was really surprised about how well kind of drilled we were, and out of possession, how strong we looked in that kind of 4-4-2 mid block. So I don't know if that's something that we're going to see, where we're going to be a lot more pragmatic, a lot more harder to beat. But that was my main takeaway. And then secondly, probably Jack Greaves, who obviously got the start, got the goal. So it's going to be interesting to see if he comes up with any predictions, if he features in any predictions today. I've banged on this channel quite a lot about how much I rate him. Last season, he didn't have the greatest spell at Ross County, but I just think he looks a really, really promising player. Looks like a good kind of specimen for that age, playing as a kind of second striker in the 10 position, where it looks like Pezzolano wants to play. We've seen Sissoko play there. We've seen your mate Ince play there. So it'd be interesting to see who plays there. But they're my two takeaways. But did you hear much about the game?
Yeah, I like you say, I think people were really, really impressed by Jack Greaves. And obviously there's been another summer of change in the academy. Jimmy Gilligan has left the club, I believe. Thank you, Charlotte. I appreciate that. Yeah, Jimmy Gilligan has left the club, I believe. And I think Jack Greaves is probably the most highly talked about player in the academy. Had that loan at Ross County last season. But it's been brilliant to have another academy graduate come through the ranks this season. And I think him, alongside potentially Nabizada, alongside Messiah Edwards and potentially Leo Ramirez of Spain, they're the most likely ones, I think. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on, and we'll potentially have a bigger conversation about Jack Greaves later on in the video. But Charlie, before we get into this season's predictions, then, shall we have a little a reminder of last season's ones?
I don't want to be that guy. I was hoping that you could be the one who could mention it, but
no, you got to. I think you deserve the credit, Charlie. Enjoy it.
Well, let's just. Can you remember how you got on with your predictions last season?
I did okay, definitely a lot better than the previous year. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think I did okay on 3 or 4 counts. Yeah, definitely a lot better than the previous year where I said Tom Ince would be our top scorer, our player of the season, and everything in between that as well. So as for you, Charlie, though, at least for another season, you've got the crown if you want to go through it on here.
Yeah, I'd hate blowing my own trumpet, but yeah, what did
It's
I
love,
get
mate.
last season? Klebs to last the season, Bar being the biggest surprise, Vata signing of the season. We spent time in the top 6. Ucko manager to be sacked tweet, and we've got another WDA team prediction coming up today, and a 14th place finish. I think that was the most impressive one, getting the league position. I also got think we filmed it before. I said that we would be a promoted team, and Sunderland went up in the end. So yeah, I'll take that all day long.
Decent from you, and confident going into this season. We actually said, didn't we, before we came on, that I think it's the 3rd or 4th year in a row that we've done this video. This is the most difficult one, I think, because we've got no idea going into the season, do we? Or at least I've got no idea.
I have no idea either. Like we said about, I found it really difficult doing these predictions. A lot of new faces. The expectations has changed a lot. We've seen a lot of signings coming in. We've seen some money spent. We've seen the messaging from the club being about promotion or competing being in playoff contention. So that comes with pressure and expectation as well. And Jack's asked, how am I feeling out of 10 in the Vibometer? I would say 6 at the moment on the vibes. But I think a good win at the Valley next week, that could skyrocket up. How are you feeling vibes wise?
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I'm somewhere in the middle at the moment because a few positive performances and a few positive results, then I think this could be a really, really fun season. It's got the potential to have that. We've got so many young players packing out, particularly the wide areas in Iracunda and Rocco Vata, Quadro Bar, Mama as well, the other Mama as well in Dumbia. I think he'll have another season of progression. The new striker in Luca Kiermagaard, I'll go with that pronunciation for now. On top of retaining the likes of Chaptatsi, Imran Loser, bringing back a Bankwa, Caleb Wiley. So it's got the potential, I think, to be a really, really fun season and almost quite a vibesy team, I think. On the flip side, a lot of the talent I mentioned there just now are complete unknowns and could really, really struggle at this level as well. And it could go completely belly up. And we'll talk about our predictions for where we'll finish right at the end of the video, I think. But check out Not the Top 20 and their 1 to 24s if you haven't already. But without ruining where they think Watford will finish, as I did for you the other day, Charlie, which I apologise for, they summed it up and said, if Watford challenged for promotion, people would go fair enough. And if Watford end up near the bottom 3, I think people would go fair enough. That's just paraphrasing it completely. And I apologise to George and Ali if I completely butchered what they said. But yeah, just can't call it with us this season. So it's going to be a really, really interesting one. But Charlie, let's get on to the first one then. And our first one is top scorer. Now, also something to mention is that we spoke to a variety of Watford fans from who I sit with in the stands and other people on other podcasts as well. And that was a pretty unanimous decision for this one. We'll go into their other predictions later on in the video, but everyone came out with Watford's new number 9. Charlie, who are you going for Watford's top scorer this season?
Yeah, I was debating this one and I was thinking, well, it was interesting. I think, and we saw with Burnley going in for a £10 million bid on Dumbia. And recently in pre-season, you've seen Dumbia kind of deployed as one of the left attackers, which is really interesting. And I think Pezzolano kind of said that he likes the idea of having 2 strikers on the pitch, especially when you've got Bar and he's such a wide player and he's a right-footed wide player, so he's going to be going on the outside a lot of time. So having those bodies, those strikers instincts in the box. And I really wanted to put Dumbia in, and I tweeted earlier in the summer saying don't sleep on him because I thought he was great last season. And the fact that Burnley went in for a big bid for him kind of shows how highly rated he is and how highly he could be. But I think I'm going to have to follow everyone else and go for Luca Kiermagaard. I mean, from the bits I've seen him at Watford, he's looked okay. I think he looked a lot better against Deportivo than he did against Leyton Orient. His link up, he's got really good feet for a big man. First cliche in there of the season. And yeah, he looks like a handful. He's got a good assist for Greaves the other day. Like, wins the ball back. He's a lot more mobile than Rajovic was. And the way the club spoke about him being their number one target, I think we saw clubs like Napoli were in for him. Look, Bayo got 9 goals last season. I think it was 9. And I think this guy's going to be our main striker. Has he been given the number 9 shirt?
I think he's been wearing number 9 in pre-season. I think, but it will probably be on around Wednesday or Thursday that we'll get official squad confirmation. But yeah, you'd imagine it will be the number 9 shirt for him.
Yeah, I think all signs lead to him being that 9, him starting, and I think with the better players around him, he should be the one who should be in the box sniffing chances out. And yeah, for me, he's got to be a top goal scorer. So tell me if you've got anyone different.
Tom Ince, mate, for me. No, I'm joking. I've gone with Luca Kermagard as well. Maybe it's a bit of a safe bet, this one. But I just think from what everyone's saying, we've heard the names of sort of Dini, Vidra, Igalo banded about in terms of what Watford are trying to build this season. And we do have some really exciting attacking talent in that area, I think, in terms of we've got Mama, we've got Semedo as well as I think there's a plausible shout that Quadro Bar, maybe not top scorer, but definitely the most goal involvements, I think, if he manages to stay fit this season with goals and assists. So I think Luca is probably the most likely shout, but I think we'll also see plenty of assists from him as well. If what we've seen so far is based to go on. Like you said, his link-up play is really good. He seems quite strong. I quite like his upper body strength from what I've seen, and he's able to move quite quickly as well for someone of his size. So I think definitely, and everyone I spoke to as well in the build-up have said that Luca should be our top scorer. It's maybe a bit of a boring one for that one if we're all going with the same, but the biggest surprise is what we're going with next. So we originally went with surprise player, but I think we've gone for the biggest surprise all round. Some of the ones I've picked out here for the biggest surprise are all linked to players. We had Lou Orn's big account on Twitter. Make sure to check him out, as well as Charlie Bush going for Kevin Caben. You'd imagine that there'll be minutes for him this season at some point. Alex King has gone with Bolla, our new left back, to potentially be a surprise. And Ben Aiton from Voices of the Vic, great stuff they do there, has gone for Pierre Duomo as our biggest surprise. Charlie, thoughts on any of those, and also who have you gone with, or what have you gone with for your biggest surprise this season?
Yeah, again, I found this one tricky. Last season, I said Quadro Bar would be the biggest surprise. And I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'm playing it safe. I want to keep this good record carrying on. And by the way, everyone in the comments, let us know as we go through each category who you think we go for. If you have a different top goal scorer, or you've got a shout for biggest surprise, and we'll bring those up and discuss them as we go along. My biggest surprise this season, and I think people are sleeping on him, and I don't know why, because we haven't seen much of him in pre-season, but I think Georgie Chatfadazzi is going to get 15 goal involvements this season.
15.
So that the big, maybe some people might say that's not a surprise, but that was the big thing that people kind of beat him with last season, that he wasn't getting enough goals or assists. I think he's going to be playing in this number 10 position. That looks like Pesolano wants to play. I think he's going to be having better players around him to feed him. And he's got another season in the Championship. He's 25. He's got that bit more experience than some of the youngsters won't have. And he's just a really, really good player. This time last year, the first game of the season, we saw him whip that free kick in. So I'm no doubt that it might take him a bit of time to get into the season because he's coming back from that injury. But I think he's going to nearly double his output last season. I think he got, what did he get last season? Like maybe 2 goals and 6 assists last season for goal involvement. So I think he's nearly going to double that. As that's going to be my biggest surprise. Do you think that's a cop-out or fair?
No, I think that's completely fair. It's something I've thought about a lot with Georgie. Adam Drury broke the news last week, maybe or a couple of weeks ago, that it looks like Georgie's going to stay. Did a great interview with him. And I think that is the area that I really want to see improved. I know his numbers overall were really, really good. And you can't, with what he had around him, it's difficult to necessarily judge him on his goals and assist numbers. But now that it does seem we've upgraded in some of those areas, or potentially on paper we have, I think definitely that's how he's going to take his game to the next level. And I think we will see his performances raised because he's going to know that a good season this season, as well as a good World Cup next summer, if Georgia qualify, I'm not sure if they have yet, then that should spell a pretty big move for Georgie next summer. So grateful to have him for another year. My surprise player, and bit of a different vein to you, but just going off again what I've seen in pre-season, what I've heard in pre-season, what I saw off the back end of last season. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of him, I'd say for the first 3 quarters, I've gone with Musa Sissoko as my biggest surprise.
Now we're talking.
I think we could potentially see him involved a lot more than people think. I don't think we'll see, for example, Georgie on the first game of the season, having not really, or at least in front of fans, he hasn't played a minute in pre-season. And I think Pezzolano is really keen on having that number 10 position, pressing and quite high up the pitch, like we saw with Jack Greaves' goal the other day. And I think Musa Sissoko could be that player at least until Georgie Chatfatazzi comes back. And there'll be a lot of rotation throughout the season to preserve the likes of Bar and Chatfatazzi. I know we've got a lot of wide options, but it's a young team. I think he's going to want to have that experienced head in there. It might be his last season almost at this level, Sissoko. But I think last season, something I realised at the back end is almost if Sissoko's not as involved in the build-up in games, like playing dead in the middle of the park, and if he's just higher up there for his ball striking and almost his football IQ and his leadership, I think that there's something quite useful to us there. So I'm not saying Sissoko's going to start.
Season, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He scored the equaliser away at Orient. Did he score against Boreham Wood? I'm not too sure. Or maybe he scored another one as well. Yeah, all sort of merges into one pre-season. But I think he'll pleasantly surprise people, Sissoko, in what you'd imagine is his farewell season at Watford. I mean, how do you feel, Charlie, about Musa, just in terms of his position? Because I think we saw it evolve last season. I think he started quite well, then had a massive drop-off, and then redeemed himself a bit towards the end.
Yeah, last season, like you said, started well. I thought him and Tom Delly were pretty good in that centre midfield. And then, he really, really struggled midway through the end of the season. Then he got moved out wide right when Quadro Bar was injured. And I thought he was pretty good. Scored loads of match-winning goals. And I think it's a good prediction, to be honest, because we need that experience. And although he's 37, 38, whenever he plays, he always seems to pick a goal. Or I think he's a really valuable player. I mean, there's players like Edo Kayembe, who was quite an important player for us last season. I think he got 8 goals. I think he might have been our second top goal scorer. Just on him, like we've seen a couple of other surprises with kind of Irakunda and Rocco Vata, people have said, for bigger surprise. But just on Kayembe, are you surprised that he might be leaving?
Yeah, yes and no. I was thinking that if it was going to be one of them, Sissoko would be more likely to head out the door. Just because I think Kayembe does offer some, particularly if we want our number 10 getting forward and getting goal involvements. I think Kayembe is potentially more likely to offer that. But at the same time, I'm not surprised, and it probably is. One thing that's been refreshing, particularly in the defensive areas this summer, is that we've seen a complete shake-up. A lot of players going, whether it's João Ferreira, Ryan Porteous is set to leave the club, and a few others as well. So it's been refreshing from that point of view, and I think that is Edo Kayembe solid at this level? I'd say so. I know he's very Marmite. I think he's a solid championship player. Is he someone who's going to help you push for top 6? I'd say probably not, to be honest. So it's another sign of intent, I think. And yeah, I think it was either or between Sissoko and Kayembe. I know it's I know they're very different players, but I think they've just gone with Sissoko on this one.
Who else? Sorry, we're going here, then, everywhere this one. And apologies, I've aged Sissoko. He's not 37, 38. He's 35, so that's my bad. I'm literally trying to retire him. Who do we think else will leave this summer?
Yeah, I think the ones to watch now would be, I mean, Dan Backman's been nowhere to be seen so far in pre-season. I think there's been various whispers. I think Turkey at one point was mentioned. I'm not too sure on that one. So I think Backman will be one to go. There's obviously talk going on about Tom Delly-Bashiru, rumours of 8 million, him leaving the exit door. Kayembe.
Surely that's got to be rubbish. 8 million. Surely not.
I know. I like Tom Delly as well, but I was thinking 8 million is a lot for him. Who else? Have I missed anyone else out in terms of players who could be going?
James Morris
could be going, yeah. I mean, I made this shout earlier to you, actually, earlier in the summer. I could very much see a reunion, James Morris and Tom Cleverley at Plymouth. I could just see that. Not too sure why. But I mean, I think the big worry for me, not a worry, because obviously I'd love Watford to be in this dilemma almost. Is if we start the season on fire, there will be interest in the likes of Chatsworth, Loser and Bar come January. And then what? Are we able to keep hold of them at that point? Like we say, Georgie will be eyeing up a big move ahead of the World Cup. That could come in January if he starts well. Bar is, I think, probably better than the level. It's just a fitness problem with him. And Loser, I think we've done well to keep him for another season. So definitely one to watch, I think, throughout. But I think our business is pretty much done, to be honest. And yeah, I think it was an opportunity then to go on to the next one, the next prediction. If you watch any other championship or club in world football and their prediction videos, I think Watford are probably the only club in world football where you will have a manager count prediction. I think the majority of people said the same for this one, but we did have a shout from Ben Aiton saying that Paulo will last the season. Charlie, you got last season's correct, saying Cleverley will last the season. What are you going for this one?
I think we're going to have two managers. I think with the expectation now that Gino said in terms of wanting to get playoffs, I think when you look at our fixtures around Christmas time, they're really tough. I think there's going to be a month where we have really bad form, and I think he's going to pull the trigger and roll the dice that one more time. Yeah. Nothing against Petzolano, and I hope he has a great start, and I hope he takes us up. I think he's got such a big job, like getting that connection with the fan base. And to be honest, I do think all football fans are fickle, especially Watford fans. And I think, not especially Watford fans, but I think we're quite laid back. But I think when it does, I mean, I even heard, I think there was reports at one of the friendlies, people were singing Tom Cleverley's name. I think when it doesn't go well, I think those murmurs are going to come back. And I think it's such a hard thing for him to get that connection with the fan base. And look, the only way he can do that is through wins, but he's going to have to keep winning and keep us in promotion contention. And I just think on the backdrop of everything, and I know we've kept hold of our best players, I know we've brought in other young talent, I still don't think we're going to jump from 14th to like playoffs, unfortunately. And there's just so many other really good teams in the league, really good players. So it's not just a case of what we do. And just knowing Gino, I think, and how the fans will react, I think there'll be a period of season around midway where he'll still think, look, we're on a downward slump, but we need a pick up, and he might roll that dice one more time. So normally I think the last couple of predictions I've wanted to have our managers stay in, but I'm going a bit different this time. What about you?
Yeah, I'm two as well. And the majority of people we asked on this one was two. Obviously, I want Paulo to do well, and I'm completely behind him. I just think he doesn't have time to win over the fans. I think he has to hit the ground running straight away. If we don't, for example, win any of our first 3 games, 5 games, 6 games, or we don't get off to a good start, I can almost guarantee there will be chance of, for example, Tom Cleverley's name in the stands. I just think it's inevitable. So he doesn't have that luxury that potentially Cleverley had, and even Valerian Ismail had, to almost show a new style of play or have that patience from supporters. I think he's going to have to get results instantly. And I think we actually might start the season relatively okay. But I just think it might be around that Christmas period where there's fixture congestion. I think that's where we saw the U-turn happen last season, where we've seen with Watford so many times over the years. It just wouldn't surprise me if we get to just before January, there's a slight dip and we think, all right, we need to pick up ahead of the second half of the season, ahead of the January transfer window, and we go from there. So it pains me to say it, but I think we'll go for another 2 this season, which is, I mean, it's good to see Ian's got the positivity there that Paulo will last the season. Gino's put the faith in him. And yeah, I mean, let's hope, because if he does last the season, I think it will represent probably top 6, because if we sort of dwindle outside of that, then I think we'll change it.
Agreed.
Yeah. So heading on to the next prediction then, another really difficult one actually, which is the random prediction of the season. A bit different to hot take. Random prediction is a bit more something that you almost just sit back and go, that is incredibly Watford, or something that is a bit niche just generally in football. And we had Lewon saying that Irakunda will score at least 2 free kicks this season. I love that shout. I'm not sure the last time Watford did score 2. Maybe it was 2015 when we had Daniel Toja playing. But it just seems that it's normally been one at a time, hasn't it?
Abdi must have scored a couple of free kicks in the season, surely.
That we didn't score a free kick between, was it 2015 when Abdi scored against Villa and maybe Adam Messina against Cardiff away? There was like a long gap of about 5 or 6 years we didn't score a free kick. So I'm not sure the last time we scored 2 in 1 year, but I'd love that if we saw that from Irakunda. And the other one from Alex King, I think this would be very Watford, is that we lose to the team that finished bottom and we beat the team that end up finishing top. That would be incredibly Watford. I'll go with my one first. And Charlie, you mentioned there in terms of potentially going on a bad run of form over a period of a month or so. I've said that at some point in the season, we're going to go unbeaten for 5 games in a row. But I also think we're going to go through a period where we don't win 5 games in a row. That's my random prediction. Not sure how random it is, but a bit niche maybe. Charlie, what have you gone with?
Yeah, found this one quite hard. I think last year I said that we said we'll beat a team who got promoted. But this season, I've gone for Quadro Bar is either going to score or assist versus Portsmouth.
Oh, I love that.
Looking at the fixtures, I think we've got. I don't know when we got Portsmouth away. I think it's before Christmas. And yeah, obviously we were there. Was it Boxing Day? That game?
Yeah, Portsmouth at home. Yeah,
Limbs in the Rookery end, and obviously the stuff that went on afterwards. Bar was injured for the return leg, and yeah, knowing him and kind of a few bits of communications since then, a few tweets and stuff like that. I think he rattled an entire fan base there, and I'm backing him to rattle them once again this season. Hopefully, he does it at Fratton Park, but that's my random prediction. What other random predictions have we had sent in? Rio has said James McLean to score twice against us at the racecourse.
That's incredibly niche, that one.
Bayo to return and score a goal.
He's on fire. I think he's played 2 friendlies and scored 2 goals there. Maybe we should have a look if the goals dry up this season.
A good run in the FA Cup, Sam? Do you think that's happening?
Love it. I would love it. I would love a really, really good cup tie. I feel like we haven't had one in a while in terms of going away from home somewhere. I know we had Man City last season, but I'd love to go to I actually went to Barnet against Fleetwood yesterday. I just needed that football fix since being back, and I was thinking that I'd love to go to a small ground again and have a small away end, and yeah, I think it would be great. We haven't had one since Woking, I don't think, or a proper away end like that. So yeah, I'd love that, and we'll go to Wembley in the League Cup. Well, one can only hope. Vata will score more goals than any of our other wingers in the squad. I love that shout. I think it's a big season for Rocco, this one, isn't it, Charlie? I think he showed some really, really positive signs last season, and there's 100% a player there. Obviously, there was a period that he spent out with a little bit of an illness, and I think that really impacted him. But from looking at him this preseason, he actually looks in really, really good shape. There's a lot of competition for places there, obviously, but yeah, what are your thoughts on Rocco Vata going into this season?
Yeah, he started on the left, didn't he, against Deportivo? And again, my main kind of takeaway was he's obviously been really instructed in terms of defensively supporting, I think it was Bola from the start. So he didn't get involved too much or have many opportunities. It'd be interesting to see if he could play in that 10 position, a bit more central. I think if we've got time next week, we might do like a starting 11 versus Charlton video. But yeah, I think he's a special talent, and I just want to see him playing as much football as possible. The problem is that we've now got a bit of depth, so the minute someone drops off, there's someone behind him, whether that's Dumbia. We've heard Bar talking about playing on the left in pre-season, Irakunda. We've heard about Mama as well, so plenty of competition for places. So it's kind of the Hunger Games of the wingers, who's going to step up. So looking forward to it. Talking of new players, Sam, who's going to be our best signing this season?
Best signing, yeah. So, I mean, we had quite a few shouts for this. We had both Charlie Bush and DCW of Football Cliches and From the Rookery End. Both went with Hector Cipriano. I feel like mine was a bit of a cop-out because it was a player. I asked for permission, Charlie, to use this player because I was so big on him last season, is Caleb Wiley. I'm so happy that he has come back. I'm so big on this kid. I think he'll be unbelievable, for not just for us, but I think throughout his career. While he must have played 10 odd games last season, I think at the start he was a little bit shaky. On his debut, we conceded a goal that came down his side, which was really frustrating. But I think he just grew and grew as each game came on, and I think he's fantastic. It's been really rare at Watford that we've had, I think, a fullback so balanced, that's able to both do the attacking and the defending. And like we've said, I think that the fullbacks are going to be so crucial in Pezzolano's system, whether that's Caleb Wiley, Bolla, Andrews and Gakia, even a Banco might play at right back. They're all going to be so important in this system when they do play. I think they'll all get minutes, but I think Wiley's going to have a big impact for us this season, impress and potentially head back to Chelsea next season. He's also got his eyes on the World Cup next summer. Unlikely he'll start because he's behind Robinson in the pecking order for the US, unless he does start and Robinson plays somewhere else. But he'll have his eyes on that, on getting into Pochettino's side for that. So, yeah, I'm excited for Caleb Wiley. Charlie, who have you gone with?
Yeah, I can't look past Hector Cipriani, to be honest. I kind of bottled putting this as like a hot take, but I think in the future he could be a Watford captain. Watching him play and how he gets about the pitch is really, really impressive. That midfield of him and Loser, it looks really, really nice. I hope it plays out that way and those two can stay fit, because it looks like a really nice balance in terms of one going forward, one staying back. What's his nickname? Hector the Protector. You see him putting out fires, but in the same time, he's got a lovely switch of play, lovely passing range. You were there at Wembley to see him score that goal at Peterborough to win the McDonald's Trophy or whatever it's called these days. But I think we've wanted him for so long. I think he was captain for Peterborough last season. I think he's only 23. I don't want to get my ages wrong again, but I really, really like the look of him. And I see a world where he'd be kind of our main player. You touched on it. Like, if it does go well, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Loser gets sold or goes for a move in January. But I think the fact that we've got Hector in so early and he's been embedded from the off, he's played every pre-season game. I don't think he started one of them, but I think he's going to be a mainstay in the team. And I think we'll look back on him and think he'll be our best signing. Is there any other new signings you're excited to see?
Yeah, I think you've got to be excited about Irukunda. Obviously, had Adam, Australian Watford fans, sending a video, and he's really, really excited by the signing. James Abankwah coming back, I think, is a brilliant signing as well. And obviously, we mentioned the top scorer as well, but I'm just intrigued by how well Luca gets on up front, because it feels like it's been a while since we've had a really strong, solid, out-and-out number 9 who is guaranteed goals. Now, going back, I don't want to talk. We spoke about Luca earlier, but another interesting thing mentioned on not the top 20 in one of the 1 to 24s is that I think there were only 2 strikers in the whole EFL last season that scored at least 20 goals, which is actually a bit of an insane stat. Out of 72 teams, only 2 strikers got 20 goals. So there's an all-round issue with strikers, I think, in the EFL. Maybe it's the way that the game's changing. Maybe it's generally the lack of quality. But I think if he can score 15 goals, I think that would be a really good season. I mean, do you have a minimum expectation for him?
When I was looking at it for top goal scorer and I looked at what Bayo did, I was like, I'd be happy with like over 10, 11. 10. Look, he's still a young player.
Yeah.
And when I was speaking to Ali, like from the top 20, he made a really good point. And he was like, these lads from kind of other leagues that have dominated, but when they come up against a Nat Phillips who goes straight through the back of him, do you know what I mean? It's a different ball game. So he's going to have to deal with a lot of big centre-halves who are quite wily and know how to and he's only young. So I don't think we should have too much expectations. And that's why I think it could be healthy that we rotate and we do horses for courses and we bring Dumbia in or play him. And we've got Semedo, who for me is a bit of a wild card. I don't really know much of him. One thing I really liked about him was when they said, what is his strengths? He said something that I've never heard someone say, and he was like, velocity. It's like power running. So I thought that was really nice. But yeah, one for me is like Irukunda, which I don't know where he's going to play.
Yeah,
he came on the other day. And look, he came on not for long. He's obviously a really talented player, but do you, and we're going away from predictions here, but do you move Bar off that right side? Like for me, Bar's got to be on that right side.
Yeah.
And then
I
it's
mean,
like,
he's looked unbelievable as well in pre-season. Bar, like he is the guy, isn't he? Just kills everyone he plays against. Just
yeah. And
pace
then
his
it's
talent.
like on the left, like I think Irakunda's mainly like plays on the right, but on
Yeah.
the left, it's like that. Could you have Irakunda? Could you have Georgie? Maybe, I don't know. It's good. It's good. It's good
It's
problems to
good.
have.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had so many questions, haven't I? And I'd like to hope that competition like this will actually improve performance and drive performance levels, because I think it's going to be, quite obvious that if someone has a poor game, then quite simply rotated out for the following week. So yeah, particularly with the Tuesday Saturday schedule, it's going to be a lot of rotation this season, but some good business I think from us so far this window, with hopefully another couple of centre backs coming in as well. Hot take, a bit different from the random prediction, but this is something that potentially no one's either thought about or something that, you die on a hill for. You know that gif, Charlie, of that guy who's got the sword and everyone's charging towards him, a bit like that. We had some really interesting ones coming in. We had DCW saying that Jeremy Ngakia will score goal of the season. I love that shout. I think he's come close a couple of times to scoring some bangers. He scored one goal for Watford.
Almost scored against Deportivo. Had a really
Almost
good drive
scored against Deportivo. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a run that went just wide in front of the rookery. I had two contrasting ones which were the same but really interesting, with Ben Aiton, who said Selvik will get 10 plus clean sheets, and a good friend of mine, Sam Adams, turning to me and saying that Selvik will get injured, Nathan Baxter will come in and keep 10 clean sheets. So two interesting opinions there, Charlie, but what have you gone with?
I've contradicted one of your points you made earlier. My hot take is I think Mark Bowler is going to play more minutes than Caleb Wiley this season. And again, I don't know if I'm playing it safe, and I don't know how hot it is. It might be what do you get in Nando, Sam?
I get a plain, but it might be a lukewarm. I know that's criminal. I think we've gone through this before, but
it might be a semi-mild or whatever. But I think Mark Bowler's played most of the preseason. He's coming early, where Caleb Wiley's only coming recently. I think Caleb Wiley got injured again at the back end of last season. I think the fact that Mark Bowler is versatile and can play as part of a back three, so he could move to that shape where he would be pretty suited to that. And I think he's done pretty well this season. His crossing looks good. He looks pretty defensive. I do think Caleb Wiley's got more of a ceiling, but I don't know. I struggled with this one, so it's not too hot. But I wouldn't be surprised looking at Wiley's injury record as well if Mark Bowler, and by all accounts, everything I've heard about Bowler, he had a great season out in Turkey last year. All Middlesbrough said they really liked him. I think he's a great signing that we need for that squad depth and kind of that professionalism and kind of good egg. So that's my hot take. You got something a bit hotter?
I'm not sure if it's hotter. Again, I think mine I've gone with is that we'll be completely fine in the right back position this season. I think it's a hot take because it's the area that I think a lot of people have flagged, particularly in the last few days with João Ferreira leaving. But I think we're completely fine in that area, to be honest. I was really impressed with Jeremy Ngakia last season. I think he pleasantly surprised me and a lot of other people. I know he's a bit Marmite and some people aren't the biggest fans of him, but I think Ryan Andrews as well. I think he's a really, really promising player. I want to see a bit more from him this season. I want to see his performance levels go up another gear, particularly defensively. And if he has that in him, then I think he could work his way back into the England development team, because I think he's got so much promise in there. And the other player as well, who I think we'll see play at right back at points this season is James Abankwah, who I mentioned before. I'm really excited by him. I'm really happy he's come back. And a lot of people have questioned, how do you get Abankwah, Matty Pollock, and Kevin Caben into the back four if they're all three of them are technically centre backs? And I think the way around that is, at times, I think we're going to see Abankwah at right back in games where we're potentially a bit more on the back foot. In games where we'll see more of the ball, I think we're more likely to see Andrews, and in games maybe a bit more in the middle of that, we'll see Ngakia in there. But I think we'll be okay at right back, and I think that is a bit of a hot take because I think people are worried about it there. I mean, Charlie, now that Ferreira's going, would you look to bring in another right back?
I think it would be nice. So we did get linked with, I think his name is Max Johnston. I know Derby are trying to get him and had a 2 bids rejected, Scottish international who plays out in Austria, and he would be an exceptional signing. He would be a kind of level above what we've got. But I'm not too concerned as some people are. Like you said, I think Ngakia played a full season, injury-free last season. I think he did pretty well. And I think Ryan's got a big opportunity. And we saw with the Lionesses, like, how important subs are on. And I think Ryan could have a good role coming off the bench against tired teams with his pace and his ball striking. So I don't think he should be too down if he's not starting. I think they're both going to get equal minutes. But I think we've got 2 solid. Look, we can't, like, obviously it'd be nice to have a really, really strong right back for the level, but it's just not the case. So I'm not too worried like you. And yeah, let's see what other hot takes we've got. Baxter will be a star in the cup runs.
I've got a good feeling about Baxter. I'm not sure why. I've got a good feeling about him. I mean, I know I'm really confident in Selvik and he is 100% my number 1, but I'm feeling good about our goalkeepers this season.
Yeah, Luons has put a comment in. We wouldn't be shocked if the new City centre-back that comes in plays right-back with Caben and a Banquist centre-back, Pollock being the biggest loser of the season, in his opinion. Yeah, I've heard really good things about that City centre-back, so it'd be interesting to see if he does come in. I just think I'm kind of leading on to my next prediction, but I just rate a Banquist so highly. And that is why, seemingly going to the next prediction, I'm going to go for my young player of the season being James Abankwah. I think he's really, really good. I've seen quite a lot of comments coming in about he's got a mistake in him. I think he had a bit of a mistake against Deportivo, and I agree with that. But I also think he gets highlighted a lot more when you're a centre-back and kind of you're the last line of defence. He showed an incredible recovery run against Deportivo. I think he's just going to get better and better, and I think he could be playing in a top-tier league next season. I think he's a class act, and I can't believe we've got him again, to be honest. So he's going to be my young player of the season. Who's going to be yours?
Yeah, Banquo's got all of the attributes in there. And yeah, I was thinking of putting James Abankwah as my young player of the season, but I've gone with Quadro Bar. I just think we'll see him go up another level this season again. I'm hoping that he can stay fit for long periods. I said with Quadro Bar that with the amount he played last season, I think that almost reflected our league position in terms of him, is that I think if we had Bar all season, I think we would have got playoffs. If we didn't have Bar at all, I think we'd have been in a relegation battle. That's how important I think he is to us. And I think he could be the real difference maker, not just in terms of Watford on a game-to-game basis, but also in us potentially fighting for the playoffs. I think it's going to be important to rotate him, particularly with the amount of depth we've got on the wings now. I think it's going to be difficult for him to play 3 games a week, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because we saw so many times last season that one good thing that we can do with Bar is to almost try and stay in games until 60, 70 minutes and then unleash him against tiring legs. So I've gone with Quadro Bar as our young player of the season, but I think there are many other shouts. Let us know in the comments who you've got, and we'll go through them in a second. DCW's gone with Iran Kunda as well, and he mentioned Jack Greaves as well, and being our most used player out of the academy this season, which is definitely plausible. I think Ben Ayton agreed with you and went with James Abankwah. Who are other people saying in the comments, Charlie? If we've had any comments in.
Yeah, not too many, but Rocco Vata, could he be a shout?
Rocco, 100%, yeah. I think Rocco. I think one thing with Rocco is, I think if he gets a real run of games in the team, I think that's when we could see him at his absolute best. I just think at time he was not because of his own fault, just mainly because of injuries and picking up that illness. He was just too in and out of the team last season. If he gets 5 or 6 games in a row under his belt, I think we'll just see him grow and hopefully explode this season because. Yeah, I think there's a really good player there for Rocco Vata. So yeah, it's a young and exciting Watford team, but who could potentially come out on top and win Player of the Season, Charlie?
Yeah, I was looking at this, and like when I kind of said about my biggest surprise in terms of Georgie getting nearly doubling his goal involvement. So I wanted to look at Georgie, but. You had him as young player of the season. If we can keep Quadro Bar fit, I think he is going to absolutely dominate this league and ruin defensive. And I think he's the one player that the big thing that is holding me back is his fitness, but I'm trying to manifest he stays injury free. We manage his minutes, and whenever he's on a pitch, he always impacts it. He never goes. I think maybe a couple of times last season when he started, he might have kind of not had a bigger impact. But even like Cardiff away last season or Hull, he always comes up with an important assist. And I haven't seen one left back be able to lock him down or deal with him. I think he's an outstanding talent. I think, again, another season under his belt. And I think if he stays fit, if he can play 30 plus games next season, he is going to absolutely be a game changer for us, like he was last season. But imagine double that if he gets that output. It's interesting when people say he play on the left. I think that probably the thing about him that is probably not his weakness, but I think sometimes he's so raw with his finishing or his assist. Like instead of trying to curl it in or finesse it, he'll just absolutely try and blast it. So I think on the left he might struggle with like going on the outside and putting balls in with his left foot, but on that right, going outside, cutting in, getting assists on the byline, or just going straight through defenders, I think he's going to have an excellent year, and I think he's going to be our player of the season. We'll struggle to keep hold of him next year.
Do you worry that? I mean, I think Bar's biggest strength is his explosiveness, his power. I'm not a sports scientist, but do you worry that potentially his biggest strengths are also his biggest weaknesses, and the fact that they make him more likely to get injured? I think.
Yeah, I watched it. I was watching him against Leyton Orient. I was watching him against Deportivo, and half of me is like, do you know what I mean? Just worried about him pulling up.
I was thinking. I have been. I know he's getting back up to speed. I was surprised with how much he's actually played in pre-season. The fact he's come out the other side is only a good thing. But maybe it's just me being over cautious. But just wrap him in cotton wool and just save him for Charlton, I think.
But we have seen with players like Ngakia, who how bad has he had with injuries, and he has got through a season last season, so it can be done. Bar's only a young lad, so if he's going to learn about his body more, hopefully the club know more about his body, and I just think it's absolutely devastating, and he gets my player of the season. Sam, yours?
Yeah, I've gone with a player that you've already spoken about a lot on this video. I've gone with Chatfatazzi. I think we'll see him go up another level this season. Spoke about his numbers earlier on in the video, but I just think with on paper, better players around him, we'll see a better version of Georgie Chatfatazzi, and it really, really excites me. Like I said earlier, he's going to have one eye on that World Cup with Georgia as well. He's going to have one eye on that big move as well, hopefully next summer. I mean, he has been told, I think, that regardless of what happens with Watford this season, he'll be a Premier League player next season. You'd imagine that's the same for Chatfatazzi, the same for Imran Loser and potentially Quadro Bar, that if Watford go up, then, I still think we'd have a battle to keep them, but it's an opportunity to play Premier League football. If Watford don't go up, I think they'll all be free to leave. So, yeah, it does sort of lend into that all or nothing mentality. But I think we'll see Georgie go up another gear this season, which I'm absolutely buzzing for. Last two predictions now then. I mean, we haven't actually, before we go on to that, we haven't actually mentioned Imran Loser just now, actually, as well, who last season's player of the season, having been frozen out at the start of the season. Huge that we've kept him, isn't it, Charlie?
For now. There's still time in the window.
Yeah.
We have got quite a few centre midfielders, so I'm fascinated to see what happens with Loser. If he even stays at kind of a base level, he's going to be such an important player for us. Like I said, he's obviously got ambitions to play higher up, and I would not be surprised if he goes even at the end of this window or in January. But yeah, if we keep him for a full season, he's going to be absolutely crucial for us. So it would not surprise me if he wins player of the season. Someone's gone Selvik player of the season. It leads me to a question, because I was thinking about this earlier. What's better, our defence or our attack?
It's difficult, because I think with our defence, we know what we've got there. We know the strengths. We know the weaknesses. With the attack, I don't think we know too much, to be honest with you. I think you'd have to say our attack. I think if everything clicks into gear, we'll be able to outscore teams like we did in that 14-15 season when we got promoted with the likes of Dini, Vidra, Igala. I'm not saying what we have is on the same level as that, but if we have Bar, Chatfatazzi at their absolute best, Rocco at his absolute best, we have Kiermagard who hits the ground running, Iran Kunda, Mama, I think it could be really fun going forward.
But there's a lot of unknowns there. I feel like with the defence, feel like I know a bit more, and I think especially if like Caben stays fit, a bank we've talked about, and Gakir Andrews maybe the weaker part of that defence, and then Mark Bowler and Caleb Wiley, and like Richard said, Selvig played a season. Like that seems quite a sturdy defence. I do think we are short. We saw Matty Pollock going off. We've talked about the young City defender coming through, Max. So I still think like if we have one injury to a bank worker, Ben or Pollock, it does look a bit short. But it's an interesting one. Let us know in the comments what you think, stronger defence or attack. Sam, what is your WDA team prediction for this season?
Always a fun one, this one. I think we've had one over the last 2 seasons, one in each season. I think back to Wesley Hoot when he left the club. I think back to, was it when Kiermaier signed this summer? I think was the other one. I wasn't on the stream. I think it was you and Jacob. I think we're going to have one Carragher, Thierry Henry moment on the stream where we'll be on stream and some big Watford breaking news happens. Always fun when that happens. But Charlie, what have you gone with?
I have gone for our very own Sam Ucko will appear on Sky Sports at one point this season.
Oh, will be an honour.
Pretty niche, I know. I think you've done it before. I think there could be some Watford news where they're going to need some reaction for, and I think we could see Sam Ucko maybe like a bit of a promotion conversation. Who knows? Maybe a manager-related conversation. But yeah, that is my shout.
Who knows? You'll see me and Joby McAnuff pitch side at Wembley before the playoff final, doing a bit for Sky. So appreciate that, Charlie. It's actually flattering, that one.
Did you think you'd have a negative one for me?
I'm trying to think of one for you now.
That's I think last season I said that you tweet about the manager, he's going to be gone or something like that.
Not going to be gone, yeah. I mean, I've still got obviously the framed photo that you got me for Christmas of Ryan Porteous as my take on Ryan Porteous. Are we actually? I don't think we've spoken about Ryan Porteous leaving the club yet, have we? I don't think, Charlie, unless I missed that.
Has he gone yet? I don't think he's officially gone yet.
I don't think he's officially gone yet, but it looks like Heung-min Son's going to be joining him at LAFC. Going to have Hugo Lloris behind him in goal, playing out in LA, reuniting with Jonathan Bond.
That's mental, actually. Lloris behind him, Son in front of him. Is Giroud still there? No, Giroud's gone back.
Giroud's gone back to Europe. I think gone back to France to finish off his career.
Shall we go for the big one?
The big one. Where will Watford finish this season? Now, it's a difficult one to call, this one. The aim we know is clear. It is get promoted. I love that one from Charlotte, that prediction. Adam Drury will smash it as the Watford Observer correspondent. He's already smashing it, doing a great job. The aim is clear. Get promoted this season, whether that's through the playoffs or whether that's finishing in the top 2. Having asked about 10 Watford fans where we think we'll finish, along with the other predictions, instead of reading them all out individually, I've gone with an average. Charlie, what do you think that average is, position?
I think people will be quite optimistic. Maybe the average 9th.
9th, you're spot on with that, Charlie. People have gone with 9th, yeah, because I had a mixture. It was literally down the middle. I think about 5 people said we'll come 5th or 6th, and about 5 people said we'll come 14th or 15th. So you do the maths on that one, but it's come out at about 9th. Having done the averages, not the top 20 best EFL podcasts. Make sure to check them out. Like we said earlier in the podcast, have gone with Watford in 13th. I think they said. Charlie, where have you gone with Watford and why?
I struggled with this one. I think earlier in the summer, I was quite, especially after kind of cleverly left, I was quite, I thought it was we might struggle, and I thought I was going down. My prediction basically went down from 14th. However, with the signings and keeping hold of the key players, my prediction has gone up. Looking at the whole league, big picture, looking at some of the business that other teams are doing, looking at Ipswich, Southampton, looking at Birmingham, what they're doing, who've just come up. And there's teams like Coventry. I can't see us getting in the playoffs. I'm going for an optimistic 11th place finish. I think we'll do the classic Watford and we will have a really good start to the year, we might kind of be in those playoff places at the start of the year and then when it comes to November, when it starts getting a bit dark and wet and cold, no, I just think it's a very Watfordy thing that we go up and we come down. But I think we will hit a bad run of form, and I think we'll middle out at 11th. But that is again progression up from 14th last season, so I think that's fairly optimistic. What are you going for, Sam?
Yeah, I've gone with 12th. I couldn't decide if we'll be battling for playoffs or automatics or if we'd be in a relegation battle. So I've gone down the middle in 12th. Just such an unpredictable and difficult season to predict. My gut is very similar to you. I actually think we're going to have a pretty good start. But I think once those winter months hit, the pressure will be on Paolo. I think it will level out. And do you know what? If we come 12th, that's building on last season. That's a good season. I think for Gino and those upstairs, I think it would be a disastrous season not finishing in the top 6 because we know that that's where we're all going for. So I've gone with 12th. Charlie, you've gone with 11th. Optimistically 6th. Love that. Got Colin saying 13th. Jay saying 10th. Richard saying 12th. I think most people are sort of looking between that 6th and 12th spot there that will be in and around the playoffs. Brian saying 9th, David in 8th, Charlotte 15th. It's a bit low, Charlotte. I think most people are looking at almost that top end of mid-table battling for playoffs position. Out of interest, Charlie, which teams do you think, if you had to give the 3 teams you think will go up, who would you go with?
Ipswich. Coventry. I just look at Southampton strikers, absolutely ridiculous. They've got Cameron Archer, Ross Stewart, brought in an American lad called Damien Downs. Their strikers are insane. They've still got Diblin, they've still got Fernandez. I think they're my 3. Ipswich, Southampton, and Coventry will finally make the jump. You?
Yeah, I'm Ipswich and Southampton, and I'm torn between quite a few clubs. I wasn't actually going to go with Leicester at all in my top 6, but then I saw Abdul Fattah's goal today. I'm not sure if you saw it in pre-season. I was thinking, I forgot that he's at this level. So I think he did his ACL last season and was out for the whole season. So I just completely forgot about him. And he could genuinely drive Leicester into the top 6. But yeah, so I think Southampton and Ipswich. I think Southampton win the league, Ipswich second. I'm a really big fan of Ruben Sellés, and I think Sheffield United could win the playoffs and go over last season's heartbreak. I think purely for Ruben Sellés. I think he's a brilliant manager, and one that I think we must have touted him a couple of times for the Watford job in our tier lists, maybe once or twice. That almost definitely would have done. Charlie, any closing thoughts on our predictions?
No, I think maybe I'm guilty of playing it a bit safe. I want to keep a good record going, keep a bit of credibility in the bank. But yeah, I think that we're quite similar. But look, I think knowing what football's like, anything can happen. There'll be shocks. So yeah, just get me down. Really looking forward now to Charlton away and just to see it all unfold. And yeah, it's just going to be good having football back. Watching a game before, well, these are 12:30 kickoffs, so an absolute killer. Mm-hmm. QPR at home, the first game at the Vic.
There's a Zazzera derby.
Buzzing about that, and yeah, a couple of beers afterwards at the Mad Squirrel. Yeah, it'll be good to be back.
Of course. I mean, actually, one other prediction I want to throw out there: Watford will do the double over Rob Edwards' Middlesbrough. That's one I just wanted to throw out there before we end the video. Thank you everyone for watching. We're going to be revisiting this video at the end of the season, hopefully looking at, probably in my case, how badly I've done and how well Charlie's done again. Will he retain his title? Make sure to like and subscribe and you'll be able to find out in May. Make sure to head down to the Mad Squirrel as well in a couple of weeks ahead of the QPR game, and if not beforehand as well. It's an early kickoff, Charlton, so there's no better place to spend your Saturday night. And also check out our Hertfordshire Mind partnership. There'll be another initiative coming this season, which we'll reveal quite soon. Potentially back in the week, Charlie, for a Charlton preview.
No promises, but we'll try our best. Hopefully Thursday night if we could do it. But yeah, I'm travelling down on Friday morning, so yeah, hopefully we can jump on, maybe get the tactics board out and pick our starting 11, talk about Charlton. I'm not looking forward to seeing Mr. Nathan Jones next week.
Mr.
hopefully.
Nathan Jones, and it seems half the Luton team as well are there now as well. So
Ugh.
probably the closest we're going to get to the derby this season. But yeah, we'll be here on WD18 to give our reaction and our thoughts after that game. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you all soon. You once.